Every few years, governments voluntarily spend millions of taxpayer dollars just to host the first few days of the Tour de France. Not the whole race, just the start. Why? Its editor, Henri de Grange, desperately needed to outsell his chief rival, Le Vélo. His solution was an outrageous 2,400-kilometer bicycle race that traced the very perimeter of the French Republic. Desgrange designed the race as a corporate survival strategy to sell newspapers, completely separate from any pure sporting ideal. He used the race to turn France itself into the main character of the story. As the riders pedaled through Lyon, Marseille and Nantes, the event evolved. Desgrange framed their brutal struggle against unpaved roads and mountain passes as a reflection of French grit, unity and national pride. The early tour functioned like a national map with pedals, binding industrial hubs and rural villages into a single, shared spectacle of endurance. Over the following decades, this grueling race grew into a sacred national monument, an annual celebration of French identity. To Desgrange, the borders of the race were the borders of France itself. Starting this deeply patriotic ritual on foreign soil felt completely impossible. It opposed the very reason the race existed. Why would an event designed specifically to unify France ever decide to cross the border? On July 8, 1954, the answer walked onto the streets of Amsterdam. For 51 years, the Tour had never started outside France, but race director Jacques Godet, who took over after Desgrange, saw a different future. Godet negotiated directly with Amsterdam's mayor, Arnold Jan Dailly, securing 80,000 francs in municipal funding. Godet stood by the French flag as 110 riders lined up along the historic Dutch canals. The atmosphere was electric, described by local newspapers as a Latin-style carnival. Cafes stayed open all night and thousands of spectators crowded around advertising trucks. When Dutch rider Wout Vachtmans won the opening 216-kilometer stage to Belgium, the bold experiment succeeded. The Tour had crossed an invisible border, proving the race could travel to new countries while maintaining its immense prestige. By the time Louison Bobet claimed the yellow jersey in Paris after 23 stages and 4,600 kilometers of racing, Godet realized something fundamental. The start of the race was now a flexible, highly valuable asset. At the center of this marketplace sits the Amaury Sport Organisation, or ASO, a private French media group that acts as the absolute gatekeeper of the event. Cities do not simply invite the Tour, they buy it. To secure the three-day opening spectacle known as the Grand Départ, foreign governments pay ASO a massive flat fee. Recent starts in Copenhagen, Florence and Bilbao cost local organisers an estimated €6 million just for the hosting rights. For the upcoming start in Barcelona, that fee is expected to reach nearly €8 million. Even minor stage starts later in the race require smaller towns to pay up to €130,000 for a single afternoon of action. But these millions do not buy the actual competition, they buy attention. Host cities are purchasing a massive global advertisement, targeting television viewers across 200 countries. This competition has turned the Grand Départ into a global trophy, with cities eagerly combining taxpayer funds and private corporate sponsorships to build a winning bid. Because the price tag is so high, local politicians must pitch the investment to their taxpayers using different narratives. In Copenhagen, officials sold the start as a tribute to Denmark's green daily cycling culture. In Edinburgh and Brussels, it was a celebration of international tourism and regional prestige. This political selling point relies on massive economic promises. Following the 2023 start, Basque officials released an audit claiming the event generated over $100 million in economic activity from a $12 million public investment. But independent economists urge caution with these calculations. They point out that official studies often count overall visitor spending without subtracting the massive public costs of road repaving, security, and municipal logistics. The tension between public risk and private profit remains the true engine driving the modern Grand Départ. To understand where the millions flowing into the Grand Départ actually end up, one must follow the money directly to the top. At the peak of this financial pyramid sits the Amaury Sport Organisation. By controlling the starting line, ASO collects multi-million-dollar hosting fees while simultaneously securing global broadcast rights and elite sponsorship packages. global television networks pay premiums to beam the opening days into hundreds of millions of homes, selling advertising slots along the route. For title sponsors, the payoff is measured in hours of uninterrupted television exposure, with logos plastered across every roadside barrier, jersey, and leader vehicle. Further down the chain, the immediate economic surge lands in the local service industry. Over the opening weekend, hotels, restaurants, and transport providers operate at maximum capacity, capturing direct cash injection from visiting spectators and race staff. Meanwhile, host governments and tourism boards receive their dividends in political capital and long-term destination branding. They exchange upfront public funds for a 3-day global showcase, banking on future tourism to offset the initial taxpayer risk. This complex ecosystem thrives because every participant extracts a different form of value, converting the physical momentum of the race into diverse financial returns. This massive exchange of public cash has turned the starting line into a political battleground. In Yorkshire, the 2014 start sparked fierce local debates over whether millions in taxpayer funds should bankroll a fleeting weekend of cycling. Critics condemn these deals as prestige spending that diverts public resources from essential services. Supporters counter that the global spotlight and subsequent tourism surge justify the upfront cost. But when the race leaves France, the argument shifts from economics to culture. French politicians face regular backlash from traditionalists who view foreign starts as a betrayal of national identity. This ongoing struggle proves the starting line is no longer just asphalt and paint. It is a contested cultural asset with a multi-million-dollar price tag. The United States, Canada, Japan, and Australia bring passionate fan bases, while the Gulf states of Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates hold unlimited cash. Yet paper wealth cannot bypass physical reality. Moving the peloton across oceans introduces brutal logistical barriers, punishing transport schedules, flipped time zones that destroy European television broadcast windows, and intense heat that clashes with the traditional July calendar. Aside from shipping containers and flights, ASO faces severe pressure from sponsors and the governing body over reputational scrutiny and the risk of diluting the race's identity. A transcontinental leap might break the very rhythm that makes the event recognizable. The Tour de France was created to unite France. More than a century later, it may have become the world's race. Digital streaming platforms and shifting media rights are already rewriting the Tour's financial playbook, exporting the spectacle to younger, global audiences. At the same time, the rapid rise of the Tour de France Femmes opens an entirely new commercial frontier, offering cities a second, highly valuable Grand Départ to bid on. Yet physical realities are catching up. Rising summer temperatures and climate pressures may soon force organizers to abandon traditional July dates or move starts to cooler northern latitudes. As technology and politics make the starting line more fluid, the race faces a delicate balancing act, capturing global billions without completely severing its French roots. The Tour de France was created to unite France. More than a century later, it may have become the world's race. Today, as global cities bid millions to claim cycling's ultimate prize, the race's soul is no longer bound by geography. The Tour de France was created to unite France. More than a century later, it may have become the world's race.